I'm not gonna lie, I was a pretty disgusting kid, so I used to touch my vagina all the time, not for pleasure, but because meko khujli hoti thi, but yeah.
Hi Ram. She's dirty. She's shameful. She's a slut. So, I was 11 when I masturbated for the first time, but I didn't know it. All I knew was that when I put my legs together in a specific way, it felt good. And all I knew was कि मैं वापस करना चाहती थी, again and again. I was around 14 when I discovered my clit, and the way it happened was through our handy
भाई मुझे तो अभी भी नहीं पता where's my clit.
friend, the jet spray. But tabhi bhi,
Thanks to the Indian sex education system, I guess, or maybe me not paying attention in science class.
I didn't realize that what I was experiencing was an orgasm or pleasure. Don't get me wrong, like a lot of other teenagers, I'd been curious and I'd watched porn, but like most mainstream porn depicts, the act ends when the male actor receives pleasure. And so I didn't even know what female pleasure looked like or sounded like, let alone felt like.
Okay, that's why a lot of people resort to lesbian porn, because that's the closest you can get to like porn depicting female pleasure. Because whenever a guy existed in the picture, it was always about him and not the girls.
When I was 17 years old, I was the featured singer in a performance of the Vagina Monologues. And watching that show really changed my perspective. And this one specific scene really stood out to me. Jahan pe they were talking about a set of women and they'd all brought out mirrors to be able to actually see themselves down there. And I realized I have never actually seen myself down there.
Me neither. I should try that. But it's really cool that she was a part of something like that at the age of 17 and her parents allowed. For those of you who don't know, the Vagina Monologue is a play जो 90s में आया था, in which women talk about different aspects related to female body like sex, body image, periods, pregnancy, etc. I think it's very important for shows like that to exist, so that people can get comfortable with themselves and learn more about sex and human biology and stuff like that. Okay.
A part of my body, an experience. If I can't see it, I can't touch it. I feel dirty and shameful when I touch it because of this years of internalized shame. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a pretty disgusting kid, so I used to touch my vagina all the time, not for pleasure, but because meko khujli hoti thi, but yeah. Whenever it came to pleasure, I did feel the shame.
So I tried it out, and let me tell you, it was a liberating experience because once I could finally see it, it just felt so normal. It's a body part like my knee, like my face, like my nose. It's my vagina, and my vagina has multiple parts to it. If I'm being very specific, actually, it's the vulvar area. You have the clitoris, you have the vulva, the labia, and you have the vagina. This is not a biology lesson.
I need to keep this graph with myself because I didn't know. Like, vagina is so complicated, bros.
Area, you have the clitoris, you have the vulva, the labia, and you have the vagina. This is not a biology lesson, but just being able to talk about those parts of your body and reclaim them for yourself.
ये सब रट्टा मारना पड़ता है यार.
Was really, really liberating. Even after all of this, I still could not get myself to touch myself down there. मुझे ऐसे गंदा लगता था कि how can I use my fingers? How can I touch my body?
I feel like all of us go through this stage at some point. Not only girls, we all feel this shame. I hope the future kids don't feel the shame.
And in fact, it wasn't until I had a sexual partner myself that I actually touched myself for the first time. And I was almost 20. It's not an age thing, but it's the fact that it took another human being to encourage me to be able to touch my own self and experience pleasure in a very different way. It allowed...
Kudos to the guy. Happy for her. I'm happy that this is being talked about, because I certainly was feeling nervous before coming here. And right now I'm a bit more comfortable with Avanti's presence. That's what she does. She has a really calming presence.
Allowed me to unlock my own sexual potential in my own hands. Literally, mere haathon mein. I'm sure some of you may be judging me, being like, oh my god, how could you talk about this? Ye kya baatein kar rahi hai? But
I am totally judging Avanti, like, huh? सेक्स क्या होता है? क्या बातें करी अवंती? Oh my god, मुझे नहीं रहना इस वीडियो का पार्ट. Okay, enough joking around. I'm just trying to give the editor to edit something.
The fact is, we all think about it. We all joke about it. Even as teenagers, we make all of these jokes about guys jerking off, wanking. Itne shabd hai. Please give me at least 3 or 4 names for a woman getting it off. Can you?
I thought those were like gender neutral terms, jerking off. But yeah, now that I think about it, jerk off. But yeah, we as a collective, as a whole, just demean women left and right. Like, मैं करके आया, I hit that, I tapped that. When we use such vocabulary, one forgets to think and acknowledge the fact that there's another person, another human being, same as you.
Because I can't think of them. And part of the reason is because we don't talk about it. We don't show it properly in pop culture. We don't talk about it or joke about it. And so it becomes this secret, shameful thing. A guy, the same way in which he can have many conquests, many escapades, talk about jerking off all the time.
I remember in school, I don't know whether, I am 100% sure that it's a myth, but I heard that the more you jerk off, the more acne you get. So whenever a guy or a girl even had a lot of acne, people would like relate it to jerking off. That was weird. But hey, it got the ball rolling. We at least talked about it.
A girl brings it up, Hiram. She's dirty. She's shameful. She's a slut for enjoying herself and taking that power into her own hands.
So I've been watching 2.5 Men, and the way women get treated on that show is just horrible. And also Big Bang Theory for that matter. And all the other sitcoms that I've been watching throughout the years. So I've kind of realized that women always get the short end of the stick. To know more about that, watch Karima's Girl Talk video on it. She did an absolute amazing hell of a job explaining that, so yeah.
But you don't need anybody else's permission but yourself. And sometimes the person you need to give consent to the most is yourself. So my self-pleasure journey has been an interesting one. Regardless of the genitalia that you own or your gender expression, yeah, jo bhi hai, everybody deserves the right to pleasure. And so I hope you go and explore yours.
Petition to make right to pleasure a merch. You know, when I was younger, obviously I had learned everything from society, all this internalized shame and stuff like that. But now that I've grown up, I just see it as biology. It's something that humans do. Everyone does, and it does not make them evil. Being a bad person is worse than masturbating. I can tell you that for sure.